NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play.
What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bring your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. All right, so it's been a little over a week and a half or so since my last NetsBoy episode, in which the Nets only played 3 games. And that was because, they had that game in Paris against the Cavs, so they had a lot of travel days and so on and so forth. But still, only 3 games. And of course, during that stretch, they lost all 3, including a really tough loss against the Heat and a disgraceful loss yet again against the Portland Trailblazers. And now the Nets are 8 games under 500 at 16-24. 8 games. This was a team that, if you recall, just about a month ago was like 3 games over 500. And I said, quote, they are not going to stay over 500 for long, because I knew that this team was going to show its true colors sooner rather than later. Sure enough, they have. And man, oh man, has it been a complete disaster. So now, that brings us to a question I believe a lot of Net fans are asking. Should the Nets fire Jacque Vaughn? Before I tell you what I think, I do want to say one thing that was touched upon a little bit by some media members and some people on Yes as well as the Nets players themselves. And I mentioned something like this earlier on in the season about the Nets schedule. What the hell is this schedule, NBA schedule makers? You got a 6-game West Coast trip. Then you've got a game in Paris, followed then by a flight back home to Brooklyn for 1 game before going on another West Coast trip. How? Why? What? Who's doing this? You trying to tell me that is a logical span of time to be traveling all over the place? And they touched upon in the beginning of the Nets game most recently against the Trailblazers. That is ridiculous. How is that justifiable? And the funny thing is, this just goes to show you how the NBA views certain teams. If that was a team like, I don't know, the Celtics, or better yet, LeBron James and the Lakers, because we have to cater everything to LeBron, you will never see a crazy road trip situation like that, where you're going to go to another country after flying across the country first for a West Coast trip, go to another country after that, then come back to the East Coast for 1 freaking game, and then go across the country again. Like, that's absurd. Like, imagine that. And I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for the sucking that this Nets team has been doing, but I think you're seeing it in a lot of these performances. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Nets did not shoot well at all during these last stretch of games. And why is that? Fatigued legs. Everybody knows that when you are fatigued and you are tired, your legs go out from under you. And that is why teams tend to struggle shooting after back-to-backs, because that's the first thing that goes when you are tired. And that means your jump shot is not going to be there, which means your three-point shooting is not going to be there. I don't think it's a coincidence. So before I start this whole Jacque Vaughn situation, I do want to just say that. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I do think it's absolutely unfair. And I fully don't understand how the schedule makers could think this is a good thing or a logical thing, but it is what it is. And the reality is, every team has some rough stretches on the schedule. That is true. I think this is more ridiculous than anything else, but you just got to make it work. And at the end of the day, this Nets team has really been poor and played terribly. And let's be honest, even if these were all home games and they didn't have to travel, they probably would have lost most of these games anyway. the way they're playing. So we do have to keep that in perspective. But just want to throw that out there. Now let's get to the point of this episode. Jacque Vaughn. Jacque Vaughn has really not had a very good year this year coaching the Brooklyn Nets. And I've liked Jacque Vaughn up to pretty much this point. I backed him earlier in the season. I talked about how I liked he was a good leader. He was a good communicator. It seemed like he had the ability to bring a bunch of people together and help right the ship when Steve Nash got fired. Thank goodness. Like like I felt that Jock was a good candidate for this job, and I felt he had done a pretty good job. But now I don't know. And some of these decisions he is making, I just don't get. Like the Miami Heat game, the whole not challenging the foul call on Jimmy Butler at the end of the game, and then after that, then not calling the timeout after you obviously saved your timeout by not challenging and forcing Mikal Bridges to try to figure something out on the fly and take a terrible contested jump shot. Like, what was that about? Like even if you thought you were going to lose the challenge, which is what Jacque Vaughn said, why he didn't challenge, you still could have came up with a play to tell your guys, hey, if Jimmy makes them both and we lose the challenge, if we lose the challenge, Jimmy makes the free throws. Here's the play I want. And you write it up real fast. What? Why not do that? But no. He looked at the replay, said, oh, we're not going to win that one. Doesn't call the challenge, saves his timeout, and then Jimmy Butler makes both free throws, and then he decides to not even call his last timeout. Why are you saving it? And then he had some kind of stupid excuse like, oh, I mean, well, we got the play we kind of wanted. We got the penetration and we had the shooters open. We just didn't make the right play. Well, Jock, maybe if you had called a timeout, you could have instructed your players on what to do in that situation. You see, the coach's job, he has lots of jobs, but one of the biggest things a coach needs to do is he needs to put his players in the best place to succeed. He needs to put them in the situations to make the right play. Inbounding the ball without calling a timeout with 11 seconds left to Mikal Bridges and having him just try to figure it out is not putting Mikal Bridges or anyone else in the best chance to succeed. Best place to succeed. It's not. That's poor coaching and poor execution. There was no reason for him to not have called a timeout there. He even said something later on like, oh, well, we didn't want him to take, Tyler Hero out because, we wanted to leave him in because that was the focus of our offensive strategy. That's fine. But riddle me this. If the Heat wanted to take Tyler Hero out, wouldn't they have done it when the foul shot happened with Jimmy Butler at the free throw line, right? Like Eric Spoelstra is not a ding dong. He would have taken him out then if he really wanted out. He wanted him out there, Spoelstra. So not a good excuse, just not a good reasoning. And it's just all these things that he's just doing and saying just don't add up. The whole benching Spencer Dinwiddie for Dennis Smith Jr. crap. I mean, what the hell is that about? Like, look, Dennis Smith Jr. has played very well, and he's a very good defender. He brings energy. He can get to the basket here and there. He can play make. He's a stat sheet stuffer, but he's not better than Spencer Dinwiddie. And the reality is, whether you like it or not, Spencer Dinwiddie is the best playmaker on this Nets team. He is the key to this Nets team's success because he's the only one who you can count on to try to make the right play or to get to the basket and kick it out to the open shooter. Cam Thomas is not a good playmaker. Mikal Bridges isn't a good playmaker. Cam Johnson isn't a good playmaker. And Dennis Smith Jr. is an okay playmaker, but Dinwiddie is the only good one the Nets have. Yet, because he hadn't been performing well, which once again, you have to put the players in the best situation to perform, Jacque Vaughn has been going with Dennis Smith Jr. I mean, I don't know. I just don't get these decisions that Jacque Vaughn's making anymore. I mean, Sometimes we see Trenton Walford. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we see Royce O'Neal out there down the stretch. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we see Cam Thomas getting loads of shots off. And then sometimes Cam doesn't even play in the fourth quarter. And I think that a lot of this is Jacque Vaughn trying to figure it out. But you would think at this point he would have had something kind of figured out. I mean, something, Jock. So I don't know. I don't know. So to answer the question, is it time to fire Jacque Vaughn? My answer is not yet. I know, right? That's kind of disappointing. But despite everything I just said, I still want to see what Jacque Vaughn has up his sleeve or some of the decisions that he might make because I am tired of this coaching carousel the Brooklyn Nets have had the last couple years. I'm tired of it. And I do think Jacque Vaughn is a decent coach. I just think he's making some really poor decisions and some really, really boneheaded moves with this team. And I've always said this about Jock. The one thing I always gave him credit for, in addition to the fact that he tends to seem to be a decent leader and the players seem to like him, is that he does seem like he always tries. He always seems like he's trying to figure it out. I just mentioned it before. I think part of the reason why we see these inconsistent lineups and these players being out there at different times and different players trying to do different things. I think it's because Jock is always trying to figure out something else if something else isn't working. And I do like that about him. I do like the fact that he can see a situation and say, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out. Instead of continuing to do it, hoping that it's going to work out, let me try to figure something else out. But the reality is the clock is ticking because this Nets team should not be this bad. They really shouldn't. And this Nets team does not benefit from being bad. Remember, they don't even have a draft pick in this upcoming draft. They don't even own their own draft for like 6 years or something ridiculous like that because of that stupid James Harden trade. I mean, I say it every time. I told you that guy was going to be the downfall of this organization and franchise. So the Nets got to win. They've got to right the ship. So I don't want to fire Jacque Vaughn just yet. But if things do not change soon and the Nets continue to lose games, and they've got a rough stretch coming up, like they're playing some really good teams. But if they don't start winning a couple games here and there and they don't start improving, maybe by the All-Star break, Jock gets fired. And I would be okay with that. Because at this point, it's just not seeming to work. I just want to have a little bit more faith and hold out a little bit more hope for Jacque Vaughn and this Nets team at this point. Because I see things that could be done. I see opportunities for this Nets team to succeed. Play through Spencer Dinwiddie. Let him be the main playmaker. Give Nick Claxton more touches on the offensive end. Right? Make some plays to get Cam Johnson some open threes, Mikal Bridges some open baskets. Play Trenton Warford as the backup center with Dorian Finney-Smith. He plays very well when he's out there. And here's an idea. Give some of the young kids a shot. Give Jalen Wilson a stint of 10 minutes a game. See what he can do. Give Dariq Whitehead an opportunity. Heck, give Noah Clowney a chance, especially with Daron Sharp being out, which, by the way, apparently he didn't tear anything. How fortunate was that? It was just a hyperextended knee. I'm telling you, the way he went down and that way that knee bent, I would have swore he tore something, but good thing he didn't. But he's still going to be out for extended time. Like, give Noah Clowney a chance. Give some of the kids a chance. Figure things out. Give opportunity to those to perform. Put the players in better positions to succeed. And call a timeout once in a while. But if Jock doesn't do these things, he absolutely has to go then. there you have it. Let me know what you guys think about everything. Once again, I'm not going to go through the next couple games for the Brooklyn Nets because, as I've said before, at this point, who the hell knows what games they're going to win? I do think they're due, though. Like, they've played really crappy late and losing some close games and some rough losses. I do think they're due for a pretty good game, similar like they did when they beat the Thunder, which was their last win, how they just came out of nowhere and beat one of the best teams in the Western Conference. So I do expect the Nets to win a game sooner or later, but I don't know which one, to be honest. So let me know what you guys think about everything. If you think Jacque should be fired, if you agree with me, the Nets have to continue to play through Spencer Dinwiddie because he really is their best playmaker. If they need to figure out other things to try to help these players and these teams succeed, these players to succeed, and just, ugh. So let me know. Until the next Nets Boy episode, which honestly might be a what moves should the Nets make because the trade deadline is about what 3 weeks away, a little bit over 3 weeks away, and the Nets have been sprinkling some rumors out there. Dejounte Murray, hey, hey, Spencer Dinwiddie and 2 first-round draft picks for Murray. Hey, I've heard rumors about that. I'm certainly on board with that. Those are just some things that we've heard. The Nets have been in the speculation of some moves they might make, but I'm not going to touch upon that now. I'll make that as a teaser for my next NetsBoy episode, which will probably be in about a week or so. So keep your eyes open for that. And until then, this is NetsBoy saying, Jacque, tick, tock, tick, tock, and signing off.
When